Hello, how are you doing today? My name is Karo. I'm a real estate consultant in Lagos, Nigeria, and I welcome you to this episode of my video on real estate investing in Lagos, Nigeria. As the year is wrapping up, I thought I'll discuss a subject that has affected a lot of real estate investors in Nigeria, and that's about the sheep lands in Ibeju Lekki. Now, of course, it's a natural thing. If you see, if you want to buy something and you have one that's selling, for example, for 3 million naira, 5 million naira, and you have another one that is selling for like 600,000 naira, it's a natural thing to want to go for the one that's selling for 600,000 naira. But then, I don't know if a lot of people are like me, but if I want to buy something and I see something that's selling for 3 million, for example, and another one selling for 600,000 naira, for example, and they are the same thing, you really cannot see the difference as you're looking at the two products. The first thing that will come to my mind is, why is this one ridiculously cheap and why this one is so expensive? It's normal that when you go from vendor to vendor, there will be a little bit of price difference, for the same product. But then when the price difference is very huge, the first thing you want to think about shouldn't be, I want to save money, let me just buy this one. The first thing that should occur to you is, why is this one so cheap? Why is such huge difference in price? Trust me, every time there is always a reason. And whether or not that reason, as it relates to Ibeju, the sheep lands in Ibeju Lekki, whether or not it's going to be risky to you, is what this video is going to focus on. So I'm going to be talking about the sheep lands in Ibeju Lekki, why they are sheep, the attraction to them, the advantage to them, and then if if there are risks involved, definitely that's the main topic you want to wait for. That's really the whole point of this video, the risk involved. So let's get right into it. The Ibeju Lekki lands. Now, I would like to start with, where is Ibeju Lekki? For some of you who don't know, there are so many people who hear of Ibeju Lekki. Where is Ibeju Lekki? Well, Ibeju Lekki, it starts from a place where a lot of people will call Lekki Peninsula too. Ibeju Lekki actually starts from, when you hear Ibeju Lekki, you shouldn't immediately just think about the undeveloped area. Ibeju Lekki actually starts from places like Lakwe. I think that's where Ibeju Lekki starts from. If you don't know Lagos very well, for those of you who know Lagos, that's Lekki Ekpe Expressway. After Lekki, just think of Lekki, think of Aja. Then after Aja, there's Songotedo. After Songotedo, there's Ibeju. After Ibeju, there's Awoyaya. After Awoyaya, then we start to go towards Lakwe. And that's where Ibeju Lekki actually starts. There's Lakwe, there's Bogije, and then there's Eleko, that side. And then we now have the side where the Lekki Free Trade Zone is. Is Eleko Road, Eleko Beach Road, that actually leads to that Ibeju Lekki side, where we have the Lekki Free Trade Zone, where we have the Dangote refinery and all that. And as we're talking about sheep lands are actually in those areas. In fact, I don't think I've seen anyone that's not in that area, except the ones towards Ekpe. There's this place called Bolaron something that's towards Ekpe. That's another place where you find some sheep lands. But majority of the sheep lands are in the free trade zone after Dangote refinery, after Lakapan Tropicana Resorts. That's where you really have the sheep lands that we have in Ibeju Lekki. Now, that's where Ibeju Lekki is, and the attraction to these sheep lands is that, first of all, they are sheep, right? That's the attraction. You as an investor, it's not everybody, because when you think about real estate, usually you think about investing a whole lot of money, a whole lot of money, millions. That's why a lot of young men shy away from it. Not a lot of women who even think that they can even become an investor. But now we have these cheap lands that are available, and then a lot of people are not seeing that, okay, if I can get a land for 600,000 naira, maybe I can actually do this. I can really invest some money, which is a smart thing. But then you want to make sure that you're not just throwing your money away. We'll get to that part. Anyway, so the attraction, of course, is that the land is cheap, and then the attraction is also that as an investor, I know I've written an article on my website that talks about, that actually advise investors to go for cheaper lands, especially people who want to do land banking. Actually now I have an article where I advise that you go for cheaper lands. The reason for that is that it helps. The cheaper a land is, the more room you have to get returns on it. You understand? For a land that sells for 15 million and a land that sells for 600,000 naira, for example, the chances that you make more money, you spend less, and then you make more returns, on the one that's cheaper is higher than those ones that already are top there in price, and they're trying to make money on them. But of course, I've talked about Songo Tedo area before. The lands are expensive, but usually if you want returns, you want to look at, if you want quick returns, you want to look at those areas. But the benefit, the attraction to cheap lands, one of them is that you have more room to grow. You have more chance of making more money from the land, and you are investing way less. It's like you have 6 million naira, for example, and instead of putting it on one land, you can actually get an acre with it. That alone is a huge deal. To think that what's the if I can buy an acre here, why should I go put that money to buy one plot here? So that's one of the attractions. And then there's also the attraction that you put less money, you're actually reducing your risk. With lands, you're never too sure, especially for a lot of you that don't really, you just buy lands, you don't care who you are buying from. You don't know what will happen. If you're not paying so much attention and you're just investing, then things will go wrong. And when things go wrong, will it be more painful to lose 600,000 naira, for example, versus losing 5 million naira, for example? So if you look at it, the attraction is also less risk, even though you actually can increase your risk with it, as you learn as we move on. But it's kind of less risky. You're risking less money. So those are the attractions. So having said that, I guess by now you're wondering, so how come these lands are cheap? That's like the $1 million question. How come these lands are cheap? How come in the same area of Ibeju Lekki, where you have a land that is selling for 3 million, 5 million, 6 million, how come you have some that are selling for 600,000 naira and 800,000 naira and like that? Well, the reason we have that is because of something called land title. Now, when you're making a real estate investment, when you're buying a land, there are two things, that kind of two major things. There might be others, but the two major things that determines price is the location of the land and then the title on the land. Now, when we talk about title, I'm sure the first thing that comes to you is CFO. Everybody knows CFO. That's like one of the solid titles, land titles that we have. Now, if you're buying a land in Ibeju Lekki and the land has CFO, and there's another one in same location that doesn't have CFO, they could be side by side. If this one has CFO and this one doesn't have CFO, then this one could be selling for like as much as 5 million, 6 million, whereas this one that doesn't have will be selling half the price or even lesser, depending on what title is on the land. So that's one major difference. These lands that are shaped in Ibeju Lekki, they don't have title. They have a lot of them. You see them. They are usually described under title. The description is always excision in process, excision in progress, awaiting excision. Those are the three ways they describe it. Now, some of you have asked, what is this excision? The word excision means a part taken from a whole. When some part is taken from a whole, like you have a big expanse of land, and then let's say 10 acres, for example, and then this 10 acre doesn't have title. Let me even say this first. All lands that have excision in process are lands that are under government acquisition. Lands under government acquisition are not committed lands. However, the government has indicated interest on the land. There's probably no specific purpose already. If there's a specific purpose already, that's when you say land is committed. It becomes committed if it's already committed for a project. Lands under government acquisition are lands government have indicated interest in. So it's now under government, they've now acquired the land. However, those lands can be released, can be freed through a process known as excision. That's where the excision comes in. Now, to explain excision to you, say you have 10 acres of land and they are all under government acquisition. Now, you now apply for excision, right? Now, the government now says, okay, you have 10 acres. Instead of them to excise all the 10 acres, they now excise probably just 2 acres. So that 2 acres has been excised. That's what excision is. So you can see on some land when you say approved excision, they're simply telling you that the land used to be under government acquisition, but now it has been released through a process known as excision. And then excision doesn't come to an end until it is published in Gazette. That's when you now see lands they say it has been gazetted. They are simply saying the excision process has ended. The excision, that land has been excised and it has now been published in a book of record known as Gazette. You understand? So that's the explanation of what excision is. Now, a land that has CFO, of course, compared to a land that doesn't even have, is not even free. Because when a land is under government acquisition, it's not free. It can be released, but it's not free. You understand? So, of course, those lands are, there are setting of sanctity, which I'll soon get to, around those lands. So, because of that, they are cheap. Then there's also, location. We have some lands, even though they don't have title, they are awaiting decision. They could be in very, very great locations. Some are even on the express, but I warn you, don't buy land in Ibeju Lekki. Don't buy land that's on the express that's awaiting decision. There's no way you are getting it, because Ibeju Lekki, those area is mostly an industrial area. So all those lands that are on the express, on that Lekki Free Trade Zone road, don't even go there. That's one sign you should look for. We'll talk of more later. But I'm just saying. Now, if you have that land, that this land is RCFO and this land has excision in process, this land could be selling for 6 million naira, and this land could be selling for just 600,000 naira. What is not 600,000 naira, because when a land is well located, you can see a land that's selling for 1.5 million naira that's that has very good road network, but it still doesn't have a title. So you are wondering, why is it selling for up to 1.5 when others is selling for 600 naira? The difference is the location. It is strategically located, So that's just it. That's why one land in Ibeju Lekki can sell for 6 million and some are ridiculously cheap. That's the explanation behind it. And that's the truth about it. Now, another important question is, are these lands genuine? They are genuine, most of them are. Except someone just came into the business, a developer just came into the business and is trying to, sell out to people and just take their money. Otherwise, they are genuine. But what is your definition of genuine? Genuine in the sense that the land exists. It really does exist most of the time. Except if for some reason you want to buy land and there's no video on it, there's no picture about it, or there's no even signboard on it. You're not seeing the name of the estate on the land. And maybe somebody is just trying to swindle you. But most times, this land exists. They are there. They can take you to the site. You see the land, but they are not. They are not released yet. They are not freelance yet. They are still under government acquisition, and the process has to be, taken. They have to go through a process that will release the land. So that's it about, about that. They are genuine, but then they have issues. They are usually genuine, but they have issues. Except someone is just trying to. Most times, those lands are there. Because if you talk about something being genuine, is that this thing exists, that is this thing for real. It's for real, but it has issues. And once you've heard that a land, most companies, if not all, clearly state it that this land is under decision process. The only problem is that a lot of people don't understand what that means, so they just go ahead to buy it. And when a company sells a land to you, and the land, they clearly stated that is undergoing a decision process, but you don't understand it, so you went ahead to buy the land. The company is not at fault. They've not duped you. You simply didn't have enough information to make the right decision. So now, the final thing I'd like to address on, cheap lands in Ibeju Lekki is, and I'm sure that's what you're waiting to hear. Are these lands safe? Should you buy them? Well, I'll tell you, I bought some. I have 3 plots just after the Lakapine Tropicana. Yeah, of course, I'm an investor too. I'm not putting people into buses and taking them to heaven, and I'm not going to get into the bus. So I sell, and when I see lands that interest me that I can afford, that as well. And when I got into the business, like in my first year or second year, I did buy some land, 3 plots. I don't know if you know what's it called now, Royal Flex Phase 3 extension. That's where I bought from. I bought 3 plots. Now I bought with my eyes open, and I'll explain what I mean by that, and you decide if this is what you want to do. And I'll tell you what you should do if you want to buy this plot. Now, buying a land that has a decision process, what are the risks? The risk is that, first of all, it's going to take the process, if it will work at all, if the land is going to be approved at all, it's going to take a long time, because it is something that requires the government signature. And anything that requires the government signature is something you wouldn't be able to predict the duration of it. Even CFO, they probably have an official duration when the process should take, and then you get to, but it doesn't usually work like that. And a lot of people who've ended up having to bribe this, bribe that, even with that, still took a whole lot of time. Now, a decisioning process requires the governor of the state to attend to it. The last governor, Ambode, I heard he didn't approve any excision. So you are depending on the government to approve it, which may or may never happen, and if it will happen, it will take years. And until that land is resolved, we can't do anything on the land. So it's like having a land that you really can't do anything about until the issue with it is sorted out. And whether it will be sorted out or not, we don't know. Some of the companies, if you work with a reliable real estate company, then you're not really going to lose your money. They could actually, some have that indemnity clause either on their application form, their terms of sale, or their contract of sale, where they will tell you, should anything happen to this land that was sold to you, we'll move you to another land. So some of them have that, but not a lot of them. All the partners that I work with, so far I think it's just one or two I've noticed that have it on their documents. A lot of them don't have it, even though we believe that the company is reputable, but a lot of them shy away from adding that clause to their terms of sale. Now, are they risky to buy? They are risky because of the uncertainty that's surrounding the land. You don't know if it will happen. You don't know if it will not happen. And the common question that I get asked a lot about those lands is, what happens if the excision doesn't get approved? What happens? Truth is, I don't know. But with the companies, if you're working with a company that has that clause, that indemnity clause in their terms of sale, then you don't have anything to worry about. Then you have a case. Then you can simply, if it comes down to it, if they don't act accordingly and move you to another land, you have a case, you can pursue it legally. You understand? But a lot of them don't have that clause. So I would say, even though it's not safe to buy it, if you absolutely have to, I stopped personally, even though I have partners who have some of these lands. Personally, I don't push them anymore. My recommendation is, instead of buying a land that has a cession in process, buy a land that buy a land on installment. Some of those lands that have approved a cession allow installments for even up to 6 months. So, and the land is said between 2.5, 3 million. So buy a land. Buy, at least when you have one land that is secured, it's yours. It's better than you have multiple plots and then you don't, you're not sure, you're not certain. Now you may wonder, why did I buy? Why did I then buy? Well, I wanted to invest, and I saw the place and I liked the place. And the company is one of our partners, and I felt this was good. And at the back of my mind, I really have no intention of ever building, at least not for now anyway, things could change. But I really personally have no intention of ever building a house in that area of Lagos. You understand? So it was just, there's a lot of things we are aware of now. We saw what happened with Lekki. We know how many people are regretting not investing. So this is Ibeju Lekki. I wanted to invest. I didn't have millions. I was saying, okay, I'll take the risk. And when it comes to investing, there's always some risk to it. There's some risk. Even when you buy land with C or 4, the government can still come and say, oh, sorry, we need this land. The difference is that they will simply give you guys, give you back, compensate you for it, because the land actually had a title and it didn't belong to them. You understand? That's simply the difference. But there are no guarantees in life. What I'm trying to say is that there are some risks involved. Those are had clients who I clearly explained this to, and he went ahead to buy it. I bought because I have zero plans for it. The plan is that should things work out in the future for that area, I would rather have a land that has a decision in process, well, that I'm waiting on, to see what happens, than not have invested at all. We are still coming, so we don't have that much money yet. We will, or we don't yet. So instead of not investing at all, and if you are in the same position, you don't have that much money, instead of not investing at all, I'll say do it, but don't overdo it. Don't don't go buy 10 plots in Ibeju Lekki. That would be too much money to lose. When I was buying those lands, I told myself I accepted the risk. If it doesn't work out, I'm fine with it. Do you get? If you can go into it with that attitude of if it doesn't work, moreover, I have a company that I can hold liable for it. But if the trouble gets too much, I told myself I am okay losing that money. Do you understand? I would rather do that, risk it, than not do it at all. But still, I'll be following it up. I don't have any plans for it. So if the process takes as long as 10 years, I don't care. I can wait. So these are things you want to ask yourself. Is this what plans you have for the land? If you're just someone abroad, you just want to invest in Nigeria, you have no plans, and you've heard a lot about Ibeju Lekki, and you want to, take your position there, I recommend it, and you just can't come up with the millions, then only then should you do it. Now, if you want to do it, some people will say, do a land search, go to an outside, because some of those lands that are undergoing decision in process, some of the developers are not going to follow it through. They just put a decision in process for you to think that they're going to do something about it. They're going to go through the process and see it to the end, get the land released. But the truth is that some of them will not do it. They just want to get you to buy it. Now, we now recommend that if you want to buy a land that has a decision in process, buy one that has file number, decision file number. What a file number tells you is that the process has started already. Now, some people can even claim to have a file number and not actually have a file number. So you want to ask for the survey. But realistically, for somebody who does it, because I'm a very realistic person, I wouldn't insist you do something when I know you're not in a position to do it or you don't have the means to do it. Now, that is why I'm going to say this. If a land that has a file number, if you're buying a land that has a decision in process, and you are told that the decision has a file number, what you should ask for is ask for the survey, to see the survey for the land and see the number there. Now, if you want to do a land search, you have to involve a surveyor, and that will mean you coming up with some money from your pocket, which is wise. But it is wiser if your investment is big. Do you understand? Like, if you're investing some millions and you're trying to do due diligence on the land. But if you're already struggling for money and you don't have a lot of money, now this is what you should do if you want to buy a land that has a decision in process. Forget file number, forget everything. Look for that indemnity clause. Because realistically, even when we tell people do your due diligence, a lot of people don't. And some of you that come to us that are real estate consultants, the ones that really care about you anyway, because a lot of real estate consultants act like agents, and an agent we are not agents, we are real estate consultants. You consult with us. We're in a position to give you advice, to give you more information, like I'm doing now, on these things, so that you can make an informed decision. An agent is not his job. An agent just really wants to tell you how beautiful a place is and all that and sell it to you. But if you're working with a trusted real estate consultant, then the consultant should be able to guide you to reliable developers. You understand? Now, if the consultant guides you to a reliable developer, and then this developer has indemnity clause, if you are buying a land that has a decision in process, don't stress yourself. Don't go, except you can and you don't mind doing the trouble. But if you can't afford to buy land that have approved decision, I'm wondering if you'll be willing to do all the trouble. And I know a lot of you that even can afford it are not willing to do the trouble. You rather not be bothered. That's why we are here anyway. So this is what I'll tell you. If you want to buy a land that has decision process, you want to protect yourself, just buy from a company that has that indemnity clause. The indemnity clause is usually that if something happens to this land, we will relocate you to another land. And that's all you really need. You understand? Because if you talk about refund of money, the truth is that once people have collected money, they don't like to refund it. And even those who are willing to refund, you cannot get 100% of your money back. That's not because they are trying to defraud you. That's because some of those money has gone into one or two admin activities regarding the land. So they cannot give you 100% of your money. That's why when you read the terms of any land you want to buy, you see that they state it clearly that if you ask for a refund, you deduct 30% of the money as an administrative fee and then refund the rest to you. So that's really my advice for you. That's the truth about sheep lands in Ibeju Lekki. That's what I think you should do if you must do it. Remember, let me summarize. Don't do it. But if you must do it, if you just can't help it, you have to come in with the mind that it might not work out. But even when you come up, even when you agree, you accept that it might not work out, work with a company that has been around for a while, that has established their stay for a while, that just don't have one property. Personally, I don't always want people dealing with companies that have just one property. People just came into the business, and if they have 1, 2, 3 properties, then they're already taking their position in the industry. They are likely to, they are likely going to be there for the long haul. So work with companies that are not just going to get exhausted with the process of decision and give it all. Now, after you've picked those companies, pick a company that has the indemnity clause. That's if you must do it. That's about it. That's all I have to say for this video. I hope you found it helpful. You should know that you can send me questions. You can, send messages to the numbers on your screen, and I'll be quick to reply to you. Whatever type of goal you have, real estate investment goal, I really can help you out of it. I really can guide you so that you don't make the wrong decision. I've actually been able to help you take a whole lot of the workload out of it by partnering with companies that are reliable. So it's just all about recommending these companies to you. And if you are somebody that wants to come into the industry as an investor and you don't have a lot of money, then I can pick a company for you that has that indemnity clause. Personally, I don't promote those properties, but I have partners who have them, like partners who have a lot of properties, and some of them have decision in process. So I have that in my portfolio simply because those companies I'm partnering with have some of them. So I can actually pick for you a company that has that indemnity clause, and that's all you really need, and you'll be good to go. And let me add this, I just remembered that buying a land, we've talked about a lot of the disadvantage. The advantage too is that should that decision work out, everything in life has a disadvantage, and usually the bigger the risk, the bigger the benefit. And that's what we have with decision in process too. If you buy a land that has decision in process, if it works out, you can actually your return on investment, because the difference between a land that has decision in process and a land that has approved decision is like up to 3 million, more than 3, no, I mean up to 2 million, more than 2 million. So should that thing work out, the process, once it gets completed, what you get immediately is like this very high rise in price that is to your advantage. Because if you are buying those lands, most people buying those lands are really buying for land banking. So you don't have, you just, so the more money, the more returns you can get, the better. So cheap lands, you get to invest less, and then the risk is higher, but then the benefit is as high as well. So it's decision time. I leave you to make that decision. If you need my assistance, just reach out to me. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.